Well, as we're
There's a good way
sitting
to
here
start the show
on
arguing.
this beautiful, why don't you lift lift the mic just a little bit to give it a tap up. Up. Yeah, we're sitting here on this beautiful borderline morning. Let me open. Um, we're sitting here borderline early afternoon, morning, late mornings at on Wednesday, May 29th, year 2024, here with the Hello Show. My name is Haim Mizrahi, continuing with the tradition of public access and, of course, the tradition of the Hello Show that's been on the air for about 40 years, I would say 41 years, 44 years, 1980. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by Fraser Dougherty and Francis Ann, and of course the likes of you out there that make it your business to enhance and fortify this concept. With me, Reggie, Cornelia, and Steve Romm, and it's
Do you realize the damage he's done to this community in 40 years?
Just by putting you and me on
just you and I going on the show and speaking to the public in this town.
So I think that my friend Steve Romm is freaking out. Reggie, you want to do something about it?
I'm not freaking out. I'm freaking out that Reggie's here. Reggie's freaking out that I'm here.
I crashed this party. I should be the one.
Well, I think that the way you solve your problem is that you actually schedule your shows for like 5:45 a.m.
You saw what happened. I said I'll take any. She said, "What time is convenient for you?" I said, "Anything from 6 a.m. on."
Nobody's going to show up to your shows.
No, but then it goes on YouTube now.
Oh,
so you go to Reggie's Roundtable and you'll.
So what are you talking about? I'd love something besides his show.
No, I'm just a block in. You can't get any time. She just told me they only have a little bit of time at the end of June.
Did you take it?
I said, send me the dates.
Send me the dates? You should schedule it on the spot. Okay, you know what? You don't know. You have to do it on the spot.
I'm probably going away that week.
Then you call and
I'll do it for you.
Okay. And call and.
They'll never know.
Anyway, okay, guys, let's focus on what we're doing here. Just I said. To speak of the fact that actually we're sitting here with two creative individuals such as yourselves, and with my friend Steve Romm, that we're still having an ongoing long journey. You know, we know each other for many years, and the other day, by the way, just to your credit, I thought about the early days when we used to go to Saras and all this. What was it, like early 2000s? And I remember the excitement that I had in creating all these, for me, sleepless nights were nothing. I mean, now I feel it a little more but before I would sleep 3 hours and I would like cut through the night with artwork and all this. And I remember I was so excited, and then I had to, then I realized that actually Steve Romm is a really very nice, social, caring individual.
Very pleasant gentleman.
Yes. And I remember I spoke to you one of those first times, and you really asked me about the art, and I said, okay, Haim. In my mind, I hear my voice telling myself, okay, this is a different guy that I anticipated him to be. And you saw my work. I remember you saw my work. Even though I felt all the reservations in the world that were building up within you, because you're a very critical individual, you were kind. You would say, I like the colors. I like the fact that there's a beginning, middle, and end. I'm just kind of rephrasing it. And I remember going back to my studio and thinking about I couldn't think. I felt like, okay, I felt like I have to change. I have to push forwards. Hearing you made me realize this is serious. I really want him, if he sees my work next time, that he would notice I worked. I did. There was like I was very exposed. You know, just imagine introducing yourself to the community. Out of all the communities in the world, you choose the east end of Long Island with a heritage as rich as anyone can imagine. That's pretty.
Here just to tell us how hard you work.
No. So I'm saying. But wait, Reggie. But you know, all the years that we spent together and being on the show, that you think that I don't remember or don't make much of, let me tell you. First of it, I grew to establish respect for you, regard. I look up to you. There's no encounter that I have with people that I don't start by saying, hey, first of all, acknowledge that we have an intelligent individual, well-read, well-versed, organized, well balanced, even though looks like he's walking around and he doesn't know where he's going. On the surface, LTV and this community should be considered fortunate to have people like you. That if you really listen, you listen to things that are not just like some kind of into the thin air, just to speaking for the sake of speaking.
I have something that happened. I was an English major in college, right? Every 10 years, about something will happen that makes it worthwhile to have majored in English. And here's one of them. I'm on this trip with the VFW. The VFW Post sponsored a ride down the Rhine River from Basel, Switzerland to, why did they name it a whole town after Basel, Rathbone in Switzerland? I don't know, but I'm so kidding, down to Amsterdam. And one of the stops was Heidelberg University. And it turns out that Mark Twain, who was of German descent, because that's not his real name is Samuel Clemens,
right.
Which the tour guide, she did not know two things. She did not know what Mark Twain meant, which was he worked on a riverboat when he was a young man. And the Mississippi River changed, it's constantly shifting. So they had a guy up in the bow of the boat lifting this lead weight up and down, and they had to have 2 fathoms at least of water. And he would say Mark Twain. In other words, we have enough. Right. There's enough water here. So that's how he took that name.
You mean Mark Paul's Twain?
She didn't know that. Now here's something else that came up. While I was there, the Heidelberg University, it's a fantastic looking place. It's built straight up a hill. It's cobblestone straight up. Anyway, and Twain apparently liked to go there. And it turns out, to me, his best book and his most famous book is the one you can't read anymore, is Huckleberry Finn, because it uses the N word in it.
It must be banned from every school.
It is. This, meanwhile, the hero of the book is the black guy, Jim. I know, is Jim, he's the only really honest, honorable guy in the whole book, other than Huck himself. And anyway, so you can't get the book, but Huckleberry, I'm thinking you figure Twain came up with that name just because it sounded like a country bumpkin name from Mississippi or Alabama or something. You know what the German word for Huckleberry is?
What?
Heidel. Huh. So Heidelberg. Now that sounds much more impressive than
the Huckleberry University.
So the town's name was named.
So he might have got the name
Heidelberg into Huckleberry.
Into Huckleberry.
Oh
yeah.
Boy. That's an enlightening.
Now I don't know. I have to do research on this to see if he ever mentioned that or.
What's
it makes sense. Let's just accept it as such.
Yeah.
You would think that, and I had the same situation with a tour guide. You have a tour guide who doesn't know the right information.
Yeah. Well, so, she knew a lot, but she didn't know that.
I'm at the Museum of Natural History, and they're doing a special exhibit on Einstein. So they have a huge group of people following this young guy, and he's in front of some display, whatever it is. He turns to all the people and he says, "Does anybody understand the theory of relativity?" And I raised my hand. And he said, "And let's move on to the next display." The only reason I raised my hand, and Haim knows the story, when I was 7 years old, I was a child prodigy, and my teacher was one of Einstein's mistresses. And she was from Romania, and there were portraits of Einstein all over her house. And I had 3 or 4 hour art lessons, and we would take breaks and have tea, and she would say in her Romanian accent, "Let me tell you about Albert."
That I remember very well.
And she would say,
say it again. Say it again.
Said, "Let me tell you about Albert." And there are these gorgeous bronzes, and it's like, I'm 7 years old. Who's Albert? You know Albert Einstein, the very famous scientist.
She's telling you.
She's telling me, a 7-year-old. And she said,
"How far did she go in these tales?"
She's explaining the theory of relativity to me in very simple language, and I'm getting it.
Oh my God!
And I've had a fascination with science ever since.
Wow.
I understand the concept of the speed of light and time. I'm not going to be able to sit down and totally understand the whole concept of it. But, when people go, "Oh, it's only 40 light years away, we could be there tomorrow." No, you can't be there tomorrow. And, if you start watching shows like Star Trek and they go warp 10, Okay, even if that's 10 times the speed of light, it's going to
not-
take you 12,000 years to reach the nearest habitable planet, if there is a habitable planet.
Yeah.
So,
Which is less than 1/100th of a second at the time that you're actually traveling towards.
you know,
You know
it's
what I
a,
mean?
and they're still moving out.
And
Although
now-
that theory is coming.
No, they're
back.
Now
expanding. They're standing still. They're
Yeah,
expanding,
they're
and
not
it feels
sure
like
that
they're
might be
coming.
more.
they're not so sure it's expanding. It may be contracting.
Yeah.
There's so much going on. They've
This new
discovered.
telescope is changing a lot of
Unbelievable.
things.
But the
Unbelievable.
expansion doesn't go necessarily evenly from the center
Right.
out.
Well,
It
And-
can grow only in one area of it.
They-
and
we're
they have-
already in an area
you
where
can-
They have
we don't know
found
anything.
things that they don't have a clue about.
Clue, yeah.
So they think
Yeah.
maybe it's expanding, maybe it's contracting. They don't know. So, and the ego, the problem is that we as humans have an ego that we think that all life forms have to be the same as us. And if you read Asimov's Foundation trilogy, he talks about life forms on Jupiter and other planets that are totally different from us. So the concept of other forms of life as we know it could exist any place. Does it have to have an atmosphere of oxygen? No. Could it live in methane? Sure. It could live without any atmosphere. We have no concept of what's out there. But it was just one of those funny moments where there are probably about 60 people in this group, and this guy asked this one question, and as soon as I raised my hand, he said, "Let's move on."
Yeah.
You know.
So it's,
So,
but speaking of, she's explaining to you in a way that actually was literally.
I was hoping she was talking about the affairs.
Yes,
that he had.
yeah, which
I
is-
didn't. I
she was
never
one of
knew.
them.
I
But
know.
if you read the book about Einstein, and it refers to Madame L, and that was my teacher.
Madam L. Yeah, apparently I just read
He
that recently.
was-
He was quite a
he
playboy.
was,
He didn't look the type, but
Science was not his main thing.
no.
Stooping
Well, yeah.
was pretty close to science.
Bodies meeting each other, colliding with each other. Yes.
I think that's how he found out what a
E
cyclotron
equals
did.
MC squared.
E is me,
Yeah.
and MC squared is how much of this I can get.
Oh my God! Okay, I think my guests are out of control. I'm gonna have Steve Romm being removed now from the
Pure oil.
facilities. Come get him!
That's why his hair was always standing on
Yeah,
end.
Oh yeah, he was like shocked
He was
from
always
Oh, another
smiling.
the revelations were constant. Are you kidding me?
I
Being
think-
here
I
without
think
the revelations,
If you had
I wanted to.
as many mistresses as he had, you probably could come up with your own theory of
I,
space.
I wanted to read apropos 6-7 lines for you, Reggie, because you've been away for too long. From signs of eager anticipation to memories past, growth unchecked within the recesses of the mind, delving into the core of urban consumption, peering deeply into the initial inklings.
Urban or urbane?
No, urban.
Oh, urban.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
That's
I would've
enough of
liked
that.
urbane. better,
Urbane.
Yeah.
feel free to
Just as
check
much
it.
sense.
Was it? Could you relate to it?
Yeah, he read last time I was on his show. He actually has his poems now are. I don't want to go so far as to say they're focused.
No, they're not focused.
No, they've got a
Nor are
couple
they
of things-
coherent.
No, and they're getting close though.
We watched his show one night.
It used to be like a verbal kaleidoscope.
We watched him sleep for 20 minutes on his show.
I don't know if it was 20 minutes. It was 5. And they enjoy, and they probably stayed out so watching me.
We stayed
Oh,
up.
look at him! Oh, he moved. Yes.
He actually went to sleep. He was talking. He was doing one of his poems, and all of a sudden it was.
Oh, look, he's been drinking again.
And
He's been drinking
and
again.
Lenore said to me, "Does he usually do this during the show?" I said, "Well, it gives me time to go to the bathroom. It times for me to go out and get coffee."
That's actually funny.
And one night he didn't have a guest on, or one morning he didn't have a guest on, so he did his hour of incoherent rambling.
Yeah.
And then the next day he didn't have a guest on, and he continued the,
The
same
ramble.
conversation.
Yeah, he picked up where he
And
left
and
off.
we both looked at each other and we said, "Do you understand what he's talking about?" And Lenore said, "No." And I said, "Neither do I." But it's consistent.
Yes.
That's
It's
the only thing.
Uh,
So Haim and I, and we did enjoy. We did one show where we did
With
poetry back
with-
and forth.
Yeah, she left, he came. He left, she came. You know what I mean? It was great.
You know who he used to interact well with Joanne. What was her name again?
Chandelier.
No, the poet, the woman who died.
Oh,
She wrote
John,
poems. Joanne
the Simone.
Simone. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh my
yeah,
God.
she was good. They used to actually. I think she was the good influence on him. She was the catalyst to make his poems a little more
When
coherent.
Vito
Yeah.
Sisti was alive, he had a poetry
Vito.
class, and I went to the poetry class, and I have to say, in honor of Vito, who was a really good guy,
Very
his
good.
poetry class and the people in that poetry class, I thought I wrote good poetry, and I learned a lot
Is
from
that
that
right?
poetry class.
I
Yeah,
liked him.
he had what it takes. He had the soul of
I got him
of an
good though one
artist.
time. He got hired by Dennis Cromer at Cromer's Auto
Yeah.
up there on Fort Pond Boulevard, and I said, I hear that they hired you up at Cromer's. And he goes, yeah. I said, well, I know why he did it. He said, why? He said, because he doesn't, with you, he doesn't need a lift. He can put you right in the engine compartment. And of course, he said,
Vito was a
he
good
hit
guy,
me with
and
the F
and
bomb.
the fact that he died the way he died
That's
is a disgrace to this community because he simply didn't have the wherewithal, the finances to be able to survive. The food pantry in East Hampton is a joke. If you went to the
Well,
food pantry
anyway,
in
no.
Sag
Okay, let's
Harbor,
not get into.
but it's
First of all,
it's a loss
I
for
don't
all
think
of
that the
us.
food pantry is a joke. Let's
no,
leave
it's
it
not
at
a
that.
joke. They have a lot of
Listen,
food.
I'm
That's just,
talking about
I don't always get it
what's
to.
his name. Who are we talking about?
Vito.
Vito. Yes, Vito Sisti had choices to make.
I had no idea he was
No,
in that
no,
bad shape.
yeah,
He was in
and
that
he
bad
not
shape.
only did he went whatever he was alcoholic and all this, he really hid a lot from his friends. He wasn't like he was. It's like suddenly you're realizing he's in really bad shape, you know.
Yeah.
But he had his choices to make, you know. It's not like
It was very interesting when I volunteered for probably 4 months for the Sag Harbor Food Pantry, and I would go down there. I think it was on Tuesdays. I would go down there, and suddenly you would see people that you knew, and you would think, "Why is this person at the
okay.
food
But let's
pantry?"
like I said, I don't want to. I don't think it's proper.
But
to
I would
talk
never
about.
mention names.
No, it doesn't matter. But it's not. It's not.
It's just
The programs are in place and they're good programs.
they're
We're
very
talking about
good
Vivi
programs.
Vito Sisti now. Why are we all taken by this individual? It's because he represents aspects of characters that belongs that actually is identifying with the community as a whole. I don't think there's anyone who didn't like him.
Everybody liked him.
A
He
good
did.
sense of humor.
He put together great art shows. He cared about it. He's put his
Yep.
effort, his heart into it, and it's a loss.
He allowed me to put my F. Pollock piece, 8 by 10. Remember the one? He said, "Put it on. I don't guarantee there won't be like a problem or trouble, but I'm okay with it." I put it, and then some women took it down and threw it in the kitchen, whatever it was. But
What was the painting?
F. Pollock.
Oh,
And even if I didn't
What?
like it, you have the right to show it.
Sure.
It's called freedom of speech, which is
But I really
disappearing in this
meant by
country.
saying that is just leave me alone. Like the hell with him. It's not like I don't have respect for him.
I went through when I taught in Roslyn, and I used to do my paintings in the late '60s, which were anti-war paintings, and I used to get comments put up where I had my paintings. If you don't like America, get out. Those kind of things.
You mean you were anti-war?
I was anti-war. I was against the Vietnam War.
Oh.
And the painting sort of represented that. It represented the United
got
States.
Me killed.
But I supported the soldiers. I didn't support the fact that we were putting these kids into a horrible situation.
Anyway, there's always a story behind the story and a story behind the story behind the story.
It was a screwed up war, but there's never been a bad war against communism.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Okay.
Never been a bad war.
But the thing is, if you say F him, sometimes it's just your own frustrated way to say, I kind of need to be left alone because listen, Jackson Pollock, for some reason, his authority is overshadowing any attempt of any artist to say, well, a drip and a splatter is actually a good idea. I mean, seriously, not just like doing a class or doing one and then forgetting about it, like a lifestyle, adapting it as a lifestyle as an artist. I think you would have to to work 3 times harder to get even basic recognition. So what happens when he takes that away from us, and we actually, for example, Norman Mercer himself in 2004, when I had my first show at East Hampton Studios here.
Speaking about anti-war, though, American creativity came to the fore in the Civil War. They made that song, "When Johnny Comes Marching Home Again, hurrah, hurrah. The boys will sing and the girls will shout, and the ladies, they will all turn out and we'll all be glad." They turned it into a big marching song. You know what the original song was? The original song is an Irish, bitterly anti-war song. It says, "Where are the legs with which you run? Hurroo, hurroo. Where are the legs with which you run? When first you went to carry a gun, it goes on. It goes, you're an eyeless, boneless, chickenless egg, and you'll have to be put with a cup to beg." And Johnny, we hardly knew you.
Yes.
They took that. I mean, it really punches you in the gut with everything.
But then it makes sense.
And then
it's
they
actually.
turned it into Johnny Comes Marching
I think
Home.
there are two things that I have a personal grievance with. There's supposed to be in the Constitution separation of church and state, and it's now coming up. Should they keep "In God We Trust" on currency?
Of course they should.
And there's a real question as to whether they should have it. And the other thing is, our national anthem is all about war. Now, if you listen to Dylan's song, "Masters of War," if you listen to the words in that, it's so anti-war.
It's all about
making money.
A scene from a war. Where, do you know why the flag? It was Keyes was watching the British bombard Fort McHenry, and they did it all night because they kept trying to knock down the American flag that was on this flagpole. And it turns out, how they were holding the flagpole up with the bodies of the American soldiers that had
they piled up in
they just kept piling things. So that's why it became. So it's more about the spirit of resistance to
but also it shows you how poetry can adapt to both ends of the spectrum, and the words are very but what I want to go back to Jackson Pollock, because you say, de Kooning, for that sake, de Kooning did not struggle differently than you and I or the others. We know the drill of what it means to have a studio and to go there and to have all the canvases you need, all the supplies you need.
Well, that's why he had his paintings hanging in the barn store. That paid his winter grocery bill.
Yes, and the one that had general store.
Yeah.
The one is.
I have a question for both of you and for your audience. I'm at a point in my life where I have a large collection of artwork. I used to sell everything. There is no place to sell things today.
You're giving it away?
I would give it away. To be honest with you, I would give it away. I would like to donate it. I would like to have it someplace. I don't want to see my artwork end up like so much other artwork where people end up passing. Their kids inherit the house. They have no appreciation for the artwork. It goes to the dump.
Yeah.
And you find artwork down at the dump that is magnificent, because the kids have whether it's photography or sculpture or whatever it is, and there's no place to put it.
Why don't you why don't you go around to the local schools, talk to the art and music teachers, that type of teacher, and say, you've got this stuff, and you'll give them with as much history of the painter and the painting as you know, and let them hang it up in their whatever.
School's a good idea. I want to go to the museums. I want to go to charities and say, if you do a charity event, I'll donate the paintings. Whatever you make, keep it for the charity, for legitimate charities. I used to work with juvenile diabetes. I worked with Ronald McDonald House. I've worked with a lot of charities in the past, and I'll approach charities, because to die and leave behind a huge body of work and not know where it's going to go. And it's not only me. I have friends that are photographers, and a friend of mine just went into a gallery up in Great Barrington. There was a really well-known artist who used to get $20,000-$30,000 for a painting, and now he's getting $1,200, and he can't sell them, and he doesn't know what to do. And that's something that's, because if you go on the computer or on your phone, there are so many places now that are doing canvas prints, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but I'd rather focus on the fact of what are they painting, how much they painting, rather than how much they're selling. That's my preference.
Even though, trying to find
but it's a no-brainer that we all want to make money, Yes, but you know what? I didn't have to go through any trauma or traumatic experience in order to reduce my prices as an artist. I remember 48 by 48 once at Ashwa Hall. At the last minute, someone came and he really liked the painting. He said, "I came back to this and all this," and I looked at him and I looked at the painting and I said, $1,000, it's yours. It's like, you know what I mean? Like,
I
and he
understand.
looks at me and this and that, and he's putting it in the car with a smile on his face. And all I remember is that my wonderful, lovely painting with a smiley, happy person is driving off to the sunset. He took it like upstate,
But
whatever.
Haim, you can't even do that
But
today.
do you think I didn't think that it was worth
Of
15,000?
course. I mean, you know what I used to sell my paintings for, at least on
Yeah.
tops. And to go from that price to selling something for $500 or $800 doesn't even cover
But
the
you
cost
can't
of my
complain.
canvas
You
and
have
treasures.
paintings that are so time consuming and so
I can't even put the time. I can't value the time.
there's only a small amount of people out there that can afford it, because it should go with the price tag of 100,000 to begin with.
I just had a painting sold at Christie's.
So don't be surprised why it's not selling, because
I know. I understand. It's a very limited market, but I have to call Christie's. They did auction one of my paintings off for a substantial amount of money, and I want to find out if they want some more. If they were successful with that, maybe they'll take a few more paintings and auction them off. But it's a very difficult market for everybody that's a serious artist to try and sell work today. Whether you're a painter, sculptor, photographer, commercial artists are gone. Nobody that used to do book covers does book covers, and everything's AI. And suddenly, if you look at your phone, there's a plethora of people painting nudes. And you look at the nudes and you go, where did this come from? All of a sudden, and every artist from wherever they are in the world, they all look the same. Why do they look the same? Because they come right out of a computer.
When I was a kid, I was so bad at even coloring books. All you had to do was stay within the lines.
Yes.
And parents are always so, oh, look what my child. My mother would hide. She was afraid that if they saw what I was doing, they would try to put me in some kind of special program.
I remember
By
when
the way,
I
here's something. If you're an artist, you're always looking for places to put and have people see your work. What about the ceiling? How many people go to bed at night?
And look up.
And they could be, they're looking up. You're missing out on a
Reggie,
whole.
you've got to go on
we
your
did
phone.
we did that in the past. I actually painted ceilings. So
Go on your phone and look up digital wall art. It is astounding. It looks like bubble wrap, except it now comes and you just roll it out, and it's seamless. It joins together. You can do a 40 by 40
you have to
foot
be
wall.
extremely professional to install it.
It is nothing to install.
Of course it is.
No, it's not.
Those self-adhesive sheets?
No, it's self-adhering. They have just guys rolling it out up against the wall. It's seamless.
Super difficult.
And then they plug it in, and you can put the artwork that's on it is magnificent.
Yes,
absolutely.
But it's
beautiful.
too plasticish. It's too indirect. It's too artificial. Come on, we're talking about the real paintings.
You know what really is great? They have apps now where, and here's why I'm saving my money now. I'm going to buy a big 80-inch, one of these super duper high resolution TVs.
Right.
And you can visit every museum in the world pretty much.
Absolutely.
And get a very good representation of it without leaving your living room.
Just ask them when you buy it where the camera is that watches you.
Yeah.
Because it's in that. It's in the TV.
I know.
Oh my God.
And people who have Siri, people who use Siri in their house, and I hate to say it, have to be the dumbest people on the face of the earth.
Yeah, I won't have it.
It's a standard joke. I heard this true story. Father tells his son a joke. Kid laughs, the father laughs, and Siri laughs. If that happened to me, I'd say, see that thing over there? Throw it out. Yeah. Unplug it, put it in the garbage, put it in a black bag, first of all, so I can't see anything. I mean, why would you want something like that in the house, knowing that it's watching and hearing everything that you do and recording it?
The large screen TVs.
All the TVs have cameras in them.
There's a way to. My nephew knows how to turn them off. That's what he builds.
Just put a duct tape on
it.
No,
you can't.
No.
It doesn't work that way.
The only one I ever listened to
how
was in
about
the.
aluminum foil? Right
The only
there.
one I listened to is
can't.
the one in the GPS.
What do you mean?
You have to find it first of all. It's a
It's all
dot.
the edges.
No, it's you. You have to. If you go to PC Richards, they might know where it is, where the camera is.
Yeah, they.
Okay, all I know that if indeed that's what's taking place, I mean, there's only that much we can worry about. What are they going to see me?
Well, you might be.
They're going to
talking.
sit there and say,
it's-
"This guy in the studio is an animal."
they don't want you
And he has
criticizing.
no sex life.
We are now in a different society
No.
where Fahrenheit 451 has come true, and other things where you used to be able to speak freely in your home is no longer the case, or
Yeah.
on the phone. You cannot say certain things on the phone without somebody knocking on your door.
Yeah.
I had a friend that went to a rally with Kissinger and said out loud in a crowd, F you to Kissinger. And half an hour later, after he got home, there was a knock on his door. And he was
But what
told
does that
that's-
have to do with us? We're not going to go to
It's
Kissinger and
because
say
that's
"F you."
That's the society that we live in. In the
The point
past,
is-
you could say that because it was freedom of speech.
Yes, I
Now
know.
you can't.
Yes, but the thing is, okay, if my life, if I translate my life to a movie that I will see in front of me and someone else is seeing it, yeah, it will bother me a little bit, but I don't think I have anything to worry about.
Did
Also-
anybody happen to watch
Also, how many times when you're at your home going around thinking that actually you're being watched? Now and then, not all the time.
Oh no, I'm aware of it all the
Oh
time.
my God!
You have to be aware of it. Your phone watches you. Everything watches
Yeah.
you. Appliances.
So why
watch
should
you.
I be concerned of the fact that it's watching?
Because
What is it going to say that should concern
Oh
me?
no!
Are you aware
haven't-
that Jimmy Kimmel's been
You're right.
threatened?
No,
That Bill Maher's
like I
been
can
threatened?
change-
but if people on the right are in a lot
Reggie.
more danger, the fascists right now are.
It's not like I think we can
current
change
government.
it. We cannot change it. That's what I mean.
I agree with
So
you.
we
The
should
current government is just as bad.
No, worse.
Or worse.
But there's nothing much you can do about it. It's already a stamp. It's already in the
You
genetic
can't accept.
genetics freestyle layers of your mind and your spirit. That's
We may be the last generation who has some thought that there is such a thing as privacy, freedom of speech, and freedom of thought.
But this concept has always been present in our lives here in the United States of America.
But it doesn't
and to
exist
every
anymore.
Americans, even though there were ups and downs of some periods that were tough and challenging, but all in all, I don't think there was.
You know what I said?
What is the reason it should make us worry so much exactly?
Well, because they can hear everything you're saying and watch, and in some cases watch you. Anyway, I always say my sister gets crazy because she and her husband they have Siri on all the time. Siri, what's the weather? Siri, what's it? So I'll say, Siri, would you mind if I call you Trixie? I don't know the answer to that question.
Siri, can you implode?
Yeah, I mean they're designed. They are programmed to answer some wise ass questions, but not that many.
I was with Haim one day right here in the studio, and Haim asked his phone a question, and his phone answered him with an attitude. I swear to you, he knows, with an attitude and a nasty comment.
I believe
And
it.
I said to him, take that phone, put it on the floor, and jump up and down on it.
Well,
Okay,
with the
I'll
exception-
ask Siri.
for a phone to have
I
an
want to ask
attitude.
Siri something. Go on. Tell me about that which you don't know about yourself.
You got to call her name first, don't you?
Oh wait, no, wait.
Now it's
You gotta
now
say-
Wait,
Siri
wait,
says,
wait,
you gotta
"Listen,
say-
you
okay.
dumb idiot."
Wait. Shh, wait. Please tell me about that which you don't know about yourself.
I know everything.
Okay, wait. Siri, tell me of that which you don't know about yourself.
Please get your grammar straight, she'll tell you.
Ask Siri if it's God.
No, but why is it? Oh, I think I know what it is. Okay. Siri, tell me of that which you don't know about yourself. No, I don't know what it's going
Ask Siri if it's God.
No, this is a tricky question.
I just want to speaking of God, I want to get back to something you said. The Constitution does not demand separation of state and religion, any specific religion, but they all believe that without divine providence helping us out, They also it's the Judeo-Christian tradition is that the king is not really the king. The king
Right.
is God, and that
I always
That's
assumed
very well said.
from having grown up that there should be a separation. Yes, we are a Judeo-Christian country, but the separation of church and state was part of the Constitution. But the line has been blurred so much.
It's not in the Constitution. It's not in the Constitution. They used a letter from Jefferson saying something about that, but he was talking about organized. He didn't want any one religion.
Right.
When he set up the University of Virginia, the first 3 people he hired were the best preachers of the different denominations. And he got a Presbyterian or the Episcopal, whatever. The Protestants, they devise a new sect every year. What's the largest sect of Judaism?
I have no idea.
Christianity.
Right.
Christianity is the largest sect of Judaism. In fact, it's bigger than Judaism.
Right.
Christ was a Jew. All the early Christians were
And
Jews.
I went to a
I think you just pushed it a little too far.
No, that's what you think. I think you didn't.
I agree with you. I went to a very, very super Orthodox church, and I had an hour and a half.
No, but I have to answer to you. No, you're talking about someone who sinned after he sinned. Again, he sinned twice. The second time that he sinned is by rejecting the oath that he took as a Jew to certain things that he was taught about being taught, is that there's a level of acceptance that this is a part of your identity and you cannot make it public and you cannot use it because it is powerful. So that means they acknowledge, because he was a great scholar, they acknowledged his ability, because you cannot argue with an ability of a real scholar when it comes to Hasidic Jews and to Kabbalah and all this. So what you're saying is that because he decided to venture outside the realm of what defines Judaism,
no, he didn't.
That he created a sect that is fully independent of Judaism.
He didn't consider himself independent of Judaism. He didn't consider himself independent of Judaism. He considered it the natural evolution of this is the Messiah that you've been waiting for.
Things that caused it to happen. You're right, he didn't.
And I don't think
you're right, he didn't. But he did things that caused it not to be. That's the point I'm trying to say.
I don't think so.
Well, but it's definitely not.
There were a lot of Jews who thought he was.
It's definitely not a department. It's actually housing within the Jewish concept, because he placed himself, and therefore the movement that came on the result of that outside of Judaism.
My biggest problem, and the problem that I had when I spoke to this minister, I said, "You're not a monotheistic religion." He said, "Oh, yes, we are." I said, "No, you're not." I said, "You believe in the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost." He said, "Yeah." I said, "That's not monotheistic. That's 3."
Yeah,
so
but
we
that's
had a
3 in 1. I know there's a big.
and the discussion's been going on for a long time. And I said, the other thing is, you refer to it as Jesus, the person as Jesus. It used to be Jesus the Christ, meaning the Messiah.
Yeah.
So because people can't remember 3 words, so it became Jesus Christ, Jesus the Messiah. If you ask 90% of people who are not Jewish, but are other religions that believe in Jesus, they don't know the real name of the person at birth, which was Joshua. And they don't know the history.
Not Joshua, Yeshua.
Yeshua.
Thank you.
And I had to correct.
Yeah, like this is Joshua.
And they don't know Yahweh, and they don't know a lot of the things that go into it.
You'd be surprised how many of the Jewish greatest allies are these fundamentalist Christians. They know the Bible.
They know more.
Yeah, they know a lot. A lot of them.
Okay, but I want to go back to something a little more contemporary, because this is like I feel its emotional weight on me right now.
So we went off on a...
No, it's good stuff.
You think we're a burden?
Good stuff. No.
Should we leave?
There's a great weight on him.
No, not you. It's just that I'm not saying it in a negative fashion. I'm just saying that, if we go back into that which is contemporary now, and the extent of its influence in our way of life and lifestyle, then you'll see that really simple acts can generate some really interesting stuff for us to last us a lifetime. Yeah, I don't know if you know what I mean.
Well, I know the incident
I
that
think
got
I
us
lost.
Ask
Sorry.
Einstein.
Let me tell you about Albert.
Now I wish I could be going at the speed of light.
Okay. Okay. So saying that you bring. Okay. So you
Out
have.
the door.
Look,
out the front.
Look. If you think about Goering and Hitler in their conversations, whatever, in the midst of all this horror, before, while they were planning, after, talking about arts. What he has, what you have, what it is, what are the results of the Wehrmacht when it is, how much loot is coming in, all the records, all this excitement, 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 excitement.
Did anybody see
Makes
the series, Spielberg's and
art
Tom Hanks
is
series on World War
art
II
is so dominant in
on
their
Monday?
lives. Listen,
No.
art is so dominant in their lives that it
I
actually
knew he was going to get around to this one.
them forget the horrificness of the moment that they are responsible for and all this. So what are they doing? They're talking about art. They're talking about this painting. They're talking about this sculpture, both knowing exactly who is behind each one, and they have the proper respect and regard and humility.
Who are you talking about?
The Goering and Hitler and all these
He
people
always
that were
comes back to
murdering and slaughtering the entire world.
Listen,
But
the
so
only respect they had is that they stole it.
yeah,
yes,
And they killed
I
people
got
who
him.
but they
did it.
knew more than you and I combined. They knew
So
their
what?
stuff. No, but
Listen
wait
to
a
what.
second.
Listen to what.
I'm
how-
trying to tell you what is the effect of art on people that actually it
It's
helps
not
them in a
money.
twisted way maintain their human dignity in the
They had
midst
no
of
human
horrific.
dignity.
Listen, he. I got him to join this Mayor Rickenback's Tuesday Club, which meets on Thursdays, and so he joins, and I'm young there. I'm 80, and I'm young in this group, and they're most of them. Their concern is, how, do I need this cane now, or this operation and that operation,
Right.
and no matter what we talk about, he will bring the conversation around. The answer is art. Art will.
And everyone
You
appreciates
have
it.
leprosy. You have art.
See,
will
giving
heal you.
gifts now is much easier. At our age, giving gifts, you give a cane, you can give a walker, you can give an ARP card.
But
I
thank
mean,
you for
it's
acknowledging that, Reggie. I'm glad that I come across like looking like that.
Palsy. Oh, yeah, I got the pure.
Oh,
But
yeah.
listen, when you open your mouth, he says, "Are you done? Are we done there?"
Conversations are you eating enough roughage?
Yeah, right.
But listen, if you have it, then you can decide to bring it into the equation of daily life, of the now between us, of everywhere in that sense. Now, if it is indeed as strong and as powerful as I claim it to be, and believe that indeed it is, then it's like we got our own
You gotta believe.
guardian angels that are walking in front of us and surrounding us because we have something to show for. You know what? At first, I used to be ashamed to think about contemplating it, to show my work and be happy about it and to look happy while I'm portraying that. I had to get over so many issues that by the time I supposed it was over, I didn't have any energy left to move even. Nevertheless, to start exhibiting myself.
Well, you gotta believe in your own. I mean,
But that's what I mean. Now, when I got to a point where I feel comfortable, like saying, let's all together look at the center and we'll find the same thing. Once we kind of zoom into the center of that space between us, we will arrive to the same conclusion. I have no doubt about it. If it means at all anything.
Monday was Memorial Day. There was a program on TV by Spielberg and Tom Hanks, and it was all about World War II. And it showed all the soldiers, and it was an excellent cast. However, I think that Spielberg and Hanks did a very cleaned up version of World War II. All the guys had long hair. There were no crew cuts. The guys looked very contemporary. The actors looked very contemporary.
Yeah.
When people got killed and legs got blown off, it was sanitized.
Yeah, there was no blood.
When they finally got to the part with the concentration camp, even that was, and Spielberg certainly having done a movie about the concentration camp, even that was sanitized so that the impact of the concentration camp on viewers who don't even believe, half people don't even believe it happened and deny it.
They have one film that I'll never forget about. There was a pretty hard bitten airborne unit that rescued one of those camps, and they walked in, and they see guys, they just turn away and start retching. They
Right.
can't, they couldn't even. I mean, they were used to dead piece, blood and guts hanging all
This
over the
was
place.
beyond
That was
that.
beyond that.
Oh
This
yeah.
was
Eisenhower was the only
Yeah.
one. Eisenhower went into one of the camps
And he
and he
said-
said to his people, "You photograph everything that's here because in 20 years from now, nobody will believe this."
Yeah. Well, and
And
he
he
said,
said,
"I
"We
want."
need
And
records."
he made them take all the villagers who claimed
Right.
they didn't know what was going on. He made them
Oh, you
walk.
make
And
them
it
walk
turns
through.
out
through.
two things turned out after the war. A, Switzerland was anything but neutral.
Yeah.
And B, the Germans outside of the concentration camps who said, "Oh, we didn't know anything about that," they all knew.
You could smell
They
it.
all knew. And even in the show that they just did Monday, they went up to somebody who was really nasty, and he said, and they translated, and he said, "You could smell it." Everybody in Germany knew what was going on.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody that was innocent,
Yeah.
and
Except if they complained, they would get killed
they'd
too.
get killed.
And there were a couple of cases. Remember the woman who was sneaking in? Um, she was sneaking in things to the people.
The ghetto.
She was a cleaning woman or something. She did something for the camp, so she was in and out of there every day, and she had a really ingenious way of smuggle. I think she smuggled children out.
Hmm.
She took stuff in, and then she would take these sacks out, and she would smuggle little kids out of the camp.
It would be nice to see
Yes.
Spielberg or somebody do a documentary, because I think it's
But the
only
purpose
right.
of this movie, you don't get it, is not about that. It's
But let
they
me-
had to go this light version because the
It's
picture was in
Memorial
the
Day.
entirety of the exactly the
But
entire.
I would like to
They
see
already proved that he
something.
made the best movie ever that was made about the Holocaust, if not, and
But
documenting
I'd
all
like
the
to see a movie
survivors and
about,
the.
as you said, there were Germans who did help,
Mm.
and I'd like to see a documentary if they could find those people and talk about those people. The first thought I had at the end of the night, and it went on and on and on. I think it ended at 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And I thought, gee, I wonder how the Germans feel about this.
Mm.
I mean, you're seeing the same thing brought back, and I think that in fairness to certain people who did what you said, who did manage to help some people who hid people at their own risk.
There were plenty of people, even within the German military, that hated what Hitler had. They weren't at a rank that would had any impact. There was an American bomber coming home from a bombing raid, going back to England, and it was all shot up, and part of the tail was hanging off. Anyway, the plane was really in a bad shape. And what does he see? One of the tail gunner says to him, "Uh-oh, we have a Jerry on our tail." A German fighter comes up behind them, and he said, "All right, boys," he said, "I'm gonna we're gonna go down. I'll make sure that you guys get, if anybody can get out, you get out, and then all right." He was sure that the guy was going to shoot him down. Instead, the guy pulls up alongside of him, salutes him, peels off. Listen to this. He looked up the guy. 30, 40 years later, they met and
I love
became friends. Yeah,
I love it.
They had reunions. Yeah.
I love it.
There was,
That's
I
a really
think,
good
the
story.
part that bothered me the most is they were interviewing some people who had survived World War II, who were still survivors, and they were saying things like, "I think under different circumstances, the German soldiers and us, we could have all been friends." No, you couldn't have been friends, because the mentality in Germany at that time, and previous to that time, and previous to that
Oh yeah, it
time,
was ancient.
Hitler-
anti-Semitism was so rampant in Germany.
Oh yes, it's.
I mean, Jews weren't allowed to do things. They were successful as shop owners because that's all they were allowed to do.
Yes, there was money issues, yeah, and then they didn't realize that they're gonna might happen to do
I
very
still
well.
believe that the greatest solution would have been for Roosevelt to be
Should have bombed the
smart.
concentration
He
camps.
should have been. Oh, no, he should have been smart. In the lead up to the war, in 1939, we had the 17th largest army in the world. There was no Americans had done what they always do. They go to war, and then everybody turns down, and then they go home. The Americans were training with broomsticks. There were not enough rifles. So what he should have done during the 30s, when Hitler started his shit, was to get ready and tell Hitler, look, if you start a war, if you start, we know what you're doing on the side. You're building ships and tanks and planes. You keep it up, and we're gonna arm ourselves, and we'll come over and do again to you what we did in
Right.
World War One. If you want to go to war, we'll go to war with you to kill the communists, to stop the Russians. Look what happened. Who won World War II? The communists.
Right.
We went in.
That was the biggest.
French-
Yeah,
mistake
but they
that
also
was the
sacrificed
biggest
like
mistake
nobody's
the United
business.
States made. Russia
They
at
killed
the
each
end
other.
of World War II was powerless,
To say that
Absolutely
the
powerless.
I know, but we
Russians
let
did
them
not
take over the
contribute,
Eastern-
and we handed it to them.
guys,
we handed
guys,
it-
to
yeah.
say that Russia did not contribute to the triumph and winning the Second
Yeah,
World
but
War
they
and
killed
bring
15
it to a
million
conclusion,
Ukrainians.
that's like
But they killed
ridiculous.
15 million
Yeah,
Ukrainians
yeah,
before the war even
yeah,
The
started.
only
whatever.
thing the Russians did
But-
was have winter
But
on
we're
their
not
side.
talking about that. We're talking about their participation as an army.
I understand that
Oh,
they
okay.
took
Well-
on the Germans. Yes.
Well, yeah. Well,
However, I'm saying
yes.
that if we had done the right thing and somehow tried to stop Hitler in his tracks, there wouldn't have been.
but like you said,
Hitler.
there's two different mentalities to begin with. It's not
Hitler
like
was a psycho.
it's not
So were
about
the people around
overcoming
him.
these differences. It's about just understanding. Just like I say, if Biden wasn't the thug that he was claiming that Putin is a thug, and could have had a conversation with him early on and say, "Hey, listen,
Right now, the
listen,
United
America
States
should
be
have.
arming
America
Ukraine
should.
to
But
the
can I say
teeth.
something?
That we should.
I mean,
you got to stop
absolute-
Putin. Putin has already said he's going to
He's
take
going to
Latviia,
take
Lithuania.
Poland's next.
I'm not suggesting that Putin is a good guy. I'm just saying politics, for God's sake. Why do we elect people and send them to office? I, for the most part, would like to look at the person that I somewhat favor and see how, technically speaking, he can handle the job. That's it. If you're a prime minister or a president and you want the world to look at you a certain way, this is the this is the idea that I have about how will I feel comfortable.
You know who
How
summed
will
it
I
up?
feel comfortable with my president and maybe have part in actually electing him into office? It's because it's the relationship between that to the rest of the world.
The best warning that we had was when Eisenhower said at the end of World War II, beware the military-industrial complex. And that's who runs this country.
Well, all right. You know what?
And that's what war is about, making money.
You want to hear my theory of the 20th century was a murderous century, not just war, not just.
But it doesn't change.
But here's what we made a huge.
They're thinking that we're revealing something new to the world.
Wilson should have stuck to the American way of what Washington said. Stay out of European nonsense. That's what we're here for, is to keep away from them. If the Americans had not gone into World War I, the Germans would have won, but barely. Everybody was broke. Everybody was exhausted. Millions of guys were dead. It's the stupidest war in history is World War I. The Germans would have won, but it would have been, an ugly, stupid, typical European war. Then they would have swapped a few territories, swapped some islands in the Pacific or something, and move on. There wouldn't have been Stalin. There wouldn't have been Hitler. The whole 20th century would have changed. We made a huge mistake going in and tipping the balance, because when we went in, we won. We pushed the war. We set the, and then the French and especially the French stepped on the Germans' neck, which gave Hitler the excuse he needed to do his thing. All that would never have happened if we hadn't gone in and tipped the scales.
Yeah, well, that's too.
But I mean, hindsight is 20/20.
Oversimplistic. But the thing is that we also did a lot good by taking this step, even though it, as a whole, it was really the most ridiculous war ever fought.
I would just, as a summation, I would just like to say, I think it's time, as a species, as humans, that we stopped going to war. There's never been a time that we haven't been at war.
There's always war. I know.
And that's how people listen. Just listen to the lyrics, Dylan's song, "Masters of War." That's what it's all about. It spells it out.
Okay, I thank you very much, Steve Romm, for your enlightening words, and I will take it under consideration how I should act on the matter.
I think he's sorry.
I think he's going to delete today's show. Can I erase this tape?
I will definitely take it under consideration.
How many times more are you going to have Reggie and I together?
If I will vote against your anticipated answer. Please, will you remain to be my friend?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I have to overlook a lot,
Reggie,
but yes.
I root for you.
Oh,
I
look,
want you to.
he's my best seller. He says things about me that make me blush. There's guys on this. Most of the people on this in this Tuesday club are liberals or lefties, outright lefties, and he's always saying these wonderful things about me. And I can see them looking at like, what the?
Yes.
Him?
Yeah, but because they don't have a first-hand experience, We spend a lot of time here, times here at LTV with the show with Reggie Cornelia. People who need to know, who knows, they know they're out there, And so
there was just to sum up, there was a time that people on the right and people on the left used to talk to each other,
Could talk.
and you had a compromise.
Yes.
That doesn't exist
No.
anymore,
Yes.
and that's
You know
the
why?
disgrace.
I want to
Because
bring
we've
arts
used
to the
Stalinist-
center of the equation again.
We've used Stalin because they've used Stalinist tactics. What they do is they destroy the character of the person. You're not just wrong. You're
Right.
evil.
Right.
You're the
And it doesn't make any
embodiment of
difference
evil.
what
And then
side
you can't
what-
talk
this-
to the devil.
It's like I said to Lenore last night, and I just want to say I love Lenore. I thank Lenore. I was sick the last 6 days, and Lenore was like my guardian angel who got me through it. And I owe my
He's
life
just
to her.
saying it so she will kind of greet him with a cup of
Is
tea
that why
when he
you wrote
comes.
that great symphony? Didn't you? I thought Beethoven did that.
No, Beethoven. I wrote that. It's homage to Lenore. And I have to go home.
Yeah, yes, I know. And let me just tell you that when I speak of art and bring it into the equation, at any equation, any situation, I told my 14-year-old, listen, the only way you can guarantee not to ever be bullied by anyone is to become an artist. You become an artist, you follow my suggestions, you have
can
your
walk around
talent,
naked. You can
and
do
then
all
no,
that.
listen,
and
no,
you
no,
can be poor.
no, listen.
the rest of your
I
life.
gave it. We don't have that much time. We have like 3 minutes,
Oh.
and this is what I said. But why am I telling you? Is because I put my money where my mouth is, and then you can scribble 20, 30 paintings. Then you can have your own solo exhibition. Then you have another solo exhibitions, and you have to make. And the school become
We're the
aware.
first people through
By
the
the time
ovens.
you'll be 17, you will have minimum half a dozen solo exhibitions, and I can only tell you that there's no room for failure here.
Today,
then
you
when
go into
people-
the oven with your painting.
Will listen. So Will, after that period, when you walk around, and when you walk through, and people will look at you, they say, "We're not messing with her," because art is like. It's like it's like separates you from that crap, from that daily shallow interactions that are taking place on behalf of alcohol and drugs and whatnot. It's just kind of centers everything, and they will know that once they will encounter you, they will come across as such morons and empty-minded and all this. This is the strength that nobody will ever be able to take away from you, and it might end up being your life.
I just want to say one thing. When I get my tin cup, I want the spot in front of London Jewelers.
Okay.
And other artists can take other spots in front of Golden Pear or wherever they want to raise their money, because telling somebody to be an artist today is condemning them to poverty.
No,
Well, it's
I completely disagree with you, but let me say we're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday and as much as we're here this wonderful Wednesday afternoon.
It's a beautiful day.
May 29th, year 2024, here with the Hello Show. My name is Haim Mizrahi, and we have Steve Romm and Reggie Cornelia. Thank you, Reggie.
Thank you.
And
You're
really,
not gonna thank him?
I can actually
He's not gonna thank you, he said.
I can actually
thank me.
confess that I had fun, and
Oh, he did. He thanked
and it was really enjoyable, and keep up the good
you. In fact, he
spirits.
thanked you first.
And of course, we're getting ready for another a new art exhibition that I already put together, 6 artists, and it's coming up June 8th for the opening on Saturday here at LTV.
Oh, here, okay.
Yeah. So we'll give you the information, of course, as we go along. God bless. Thank you again to my guests, Steve Romm and
Reggie.
and then Reggie Cornelia. But
Reggie.
let me see how I'm going to do that. Oh yeah, I think I'm going to do this. Yeah. Okay.
When I did my show, they had these